It's showtime!
Welcome to Show Me Some Television, the segment where I binge watch television shows thanks to Shomi from Rogers and tell you all about it. In this segment, we are going to talk about 12 Monkeys, Season 1, the television series based off of the movie, which may have been based off of something else. I don't remember, but essentially what it is a tale of a world, I believe it's 2043, and a plague has wiped out pretty much everybody, and there is a science team that has developed time travel, and they are sending back a certain individual in the attempt to try and stop the plague. Now, the individual is played by Aaron Stanford, who probably very recognizable by genre fans. If you watched the television show Nikita, he was Seymour Burkoff. Or if you were into the X-Men films, he played Pyro. And he is throughout. He's the guy traveling back and forth through time, trying to piece things together and essentially stop the plague by changing the past. His essential love interest in the show is played by Amanda Scholl, who is a scientist / doctor, and becomes involved obviously by learning about the plague and such, and then becomes somewhat obsessed with stopping the plague, as well as a little bit obsessed with Cole, who is Aaron Stanford's character, and there's some chemistry going on there. Now, she has been in quite a few things, mainly not really genre related though. One Tree Hill, she played Katie Ryan. Pretty Little Liars, she was Meredith Sorensen. Suits, she's Katrina Bennett. So yeah, not really a genre actor, but a well established one, actor that is. So that you're gonna get a good performance out of her. Cole's, I guess you call him best friend, the person he grew up with, who let me just point this out, they've people in the future who are left essentially have an immunity to the virus. So not only did Cole manage to have an immunity, but his essentially best friend also managed to have an immunity. Go figure. And that is played by Kirk Acevedo, who is in a ton of stuff. The Black Donnellys, he was Nicky Cotero. In Fringe, if you watch that, he was the alternate Charlie Francis. If you watched Oz, Miguel Alvarez was his character. For me, I knew him from Band of Brothers because I watched Band of Brothers all the time. He was Joseph D. Toye. But he also played, he wasn't just in television, he was also Carver in Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and he is Agent Calderon in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He's been in he was also in Boiler Room, which I recognize that, and Thin Red Line as Private Tella. But yeah, he's in it. He doesn't really have a big role, but he seems to be in every single episode, for the most part. Now, the scientist who essentially comes up with the whole time travel thing is played by Barbara Sukowa, who is German. So it's not surprising to find that she has a bunch of German credits, which I've never heard of. But she was in M. Butterfly as Jean Gallimard, and Anna Coleman in the film Johnny Mnemonic. So if you caught any of those films, then you might know who she is. but in all likelihood, you probably don't. But yeah, essentially, 12 Monkeys deals with Barbara Sukawa bouncing, coal all over the place. Yeah, Barbara's character is Katarina. And so Katarina's sending Cole, back into the past, and he'll, basically they have a clue in the future, and they're like, oh, this means something. We have to stop this. And Cole will go back, and maybe he will, fulfill his mission, or not, or something will happen, whatever. But either way, it's constantly a progression of trying to stop the plague. So they'll do one thing that they think will stop the plague, it doesn't stop the plague. They do another thing, that doesn't stop the plague. They try and do something else, they get stopped and realize that, what they were trying to do wasn't to stop the plague anyways, type thing. So it's constantly going back, getting more information, getting clues, getting hints, killing people, lots of action, and coming back to the future with that information, and, for all the people in the future trying to figure out what the next play is. Cole's best friend is Jose, and essentially he's in the future. He stays in the future, and he's kind of like hired. Well, not hired muscle, but he's sort of like a muscle. He's not a soldier. They have soldiers, and there is a main character who played a secondary character that's played a soldier that's played by who was it played by? Can't remember. I think it's. Let's see if I can find him here. Yeah, it's Damore Barnes. Damore Barnes, who's in Hannibal as Tobias Budge, and The Unit. That's where I know him from. Is Hector Williams. He's also in The Flash. He's Tokamak. Yeah. So he's the soldier at the group. So he's under the I wouldn't say control, the employ of sorts by Katarina, and then you've got Jose, who is friends with Cole, so they kind of have the same role, Whitley, who is the soldier, and Jose, but obviously they have two different views and ways of looking at things, so sometimes they butt heads. And then you've got, Cole's love interest, who's in the back, who he's sent back to find because she has the clues. She knows what, where all, essentially they know. It's weird. They know practically nothing about how things came about, and yet they're just like, all we have is this little bit of information. Send somebody back in time, figure things out. And one of them is Cole's name. That's how they know they have to send him back. And the other one is Amanda Schull's character, Dr. Cassandra Rayleigh, her name. And so they end up meeting up, getting together, and moving on. So she's always in the past, and Cole's bouncing back and forth and getting it. And then there's other characters, politicians, evil conspiracy type people, other people in the future, bands of renegades and other scientists and all sorts of, like, there are so many different groups and things intertwined throughout this whole season, that I wouldn't be surprised if you got lost in it. But I think 12 Monkeys actually manages to do something which maybe it's because it's in a television series and not in a in a movie, but it has so many branches and so many different characters and story things going on that you would think you'd be lost very easy, but it manages to keep it together, and the path is quite well laid out, so you know where you're going and you know what's happening, and then it's got action, it's got gore, it's got a little bit of the sexy because you got that love interest stuff going on, and there's multiple, it's got future, past, in betweens, all sorts of stuff going on, And of course, everything's sort of interweaving, and one thing affects another thing, and because they're time travel, one you jump to the past, and then you jump to the future, then you jump further to the past, then you jump to the future, then you jump to a little bit less of the past, which is affected by like everything's affecting other stuff, and everybody's trying to figure out, and there's so many different groups who are, trying to stop this or trying to stop that, trying to get this, trying to get that, trying to kill this person, trying to kill that person. So many levels of intrigue, so many different things going on. That I am surprised they managed to keep everything as tight as it was, and comprehensive essentially, and entertaining. Oh my god! Like, I really enjoyed this first season of 12 Monkeys. I was avoiding it for quite a while, but I don't know why, because honestly, like 12 Monkeys, this first season was quite, well, it wasn't quite good. It was really good. It had, well, a lot of, I think one of the reasons why I liked it so much is it had a lot of elements that, I tend to dig. It's got science fiction with the time travel. It's got end of the world apocalypse. It's got viruses. And if you've been watching my channel, you know how much I'm into like virus and end of the world type scenarios. So it's got all that, sort of wrapped into a whole thing. And then you've got this whole mystery of who done it, how did it happen, why did it happen, blah, 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 blah. Put all the pieces together, try and figure things out. So I grew up liking that stuff. Sherlock Holmes, Murder, She Wrote. And it's kind of got that, put the pieces together, try and figure out why things are. And though some of it you could technically figure things out pretty early on if you wanted to. And it's one of those things where you constantly pick something, right? And you could guess right pretty close to the beginning. But there's a lot of things going on that you could guess in any which direction you really wanted to, and some of them will actually play out, but then it continues, keeps going, or plays out and you were wrong type thing. It's just one of those things where you may have to change your thoughts multiple times while watching it, which is quite nice. And honestly, I think it was sort of like, and it's really weird when you're playing with time. Yes, you get the timey-wimey things going on, but don't think too much about paradoxes and how things could have happened or should have happened, or how did some things just don't make sense. You're like, what is it? Remember that you don't have all the pieces. You will never have all the pieces, and any of the pieces that you seem to be missing, just chalk it up to it may have happened somewhere along the line somehow, and you'll be okay, because that's essentially how it works. Because it seems like there was a set story, sort of like the 12 Monkeys movie story, but because this is a television series, and you have a season 1 and you want to have a season 2, the end, after you get to the climax and you're kind of coming after that and leading up to the essentially the teaser for the next season, and it throws like this huge, because honestly they could have wrapped it one full season, done, and it would have been fine. Like, the story would have been self-contained, but then they go that little step and go, oh, but hey, there's another season, and you're like, it's still going? No, I thought everything was explained, but no, it's not. There's more to go, and you want to watch season 2 because you're like, what could they do next? And that's kind of where I'm leaving 12 Monkeys season 1, because I want to know what happens next, and unfortunately season 2 is not on Shomi. So I don't know when I'm going to be able to see it, but I do want to see it. And I can say that I would watch season 1 again. I could probably watch it again right now. Like, there's so much stuff going on, and so many, and that's the thing with time travel, right? There's so many different things, and you can start, your brain's just like going different directions. What? Did that just happen? Did that happen before? And trying to piece all the things. There's so much going on. You could definitely watch it and probably pick up a lot more, stuff you missed because you were, also enjoying watching the series. So, 12 12 Monkeys. Give it a watch. Honestly, if you're into sci-fi, you're into time travel, you're into viruses and end-of-world scenarios, 12 Monkeys, check it out. That's all I can say. Till next video, take care. Have a good one.